All right, this is take two. I experienced a network interruption during the last recording, rendering it useless. So once again, this is my Hibernate demo. This is a main class that I built to demonstrate some Hibernate functionality. This Hibernate util class is Brother Tucket's. It was adapted to use... Actually, it wasn't even changed at all. Yeah, it's using the exact same syntax. It's completely Brother Tucket's. I take absolutely no credit for this. It is very similar to the Hibernate util, which is generated by NetBeans automatically, though to use the singleton pattern, I had to use Brother Tucket's. And I like that because it keeps instances under control, as opposed to just like generating a bunch of them. So let's go over to my data class. This is the data class sword, which is referencing the table swords in my database. It's all correct Hibernate syntax. There's a toString method, getters and setters, everything that you would expect the sword class to do. It's just a data framework to interact with the database of the same schema. The data class interacts and builds it uses the Hibernate util class to get a session factory going to interact with the database. In this class, I have the getSwordsById method, which is adapted from Brother Tucket's method. This references my database and data type. That's basically the only thing I actually changed. If we're just being clear here. I, however, did build this add sword method, which I have a static method of testing here that that this is an old version, but currently the user is able to input 3 strings and add stuff to the database. I'll demonstrate that later. The getSwordsByName method is also mine. I'm working on getting this up and running. It's very close. The syntax is just, I need to work out the actual SQL call syntax here. Getting a list is also Brother Tucket's, adapted again. However, I do have it working in a way that he did not have it working, in that it is a choice to choose, and it's just, instead of using a for loop, I'm using a for each loop. Just because it's a little more pretty, I guess. So here's the demonstration of the program in action. Just for reference, this is my database. This is the table swords in the database. I have 3 entries, so we should only expect 3 entries from this program when I call the method to get all of them. So let's begin. There are a lot of errors here. This is to be expected because NetBeans doesn't like the version of Hibernate that I'm using. It'll still work. It's just a warning. Behold, thou art using the wrong version, according to us, of Hibernate. NetBeans wants to use Hibernate 4.3. I'm using Hibernate 5.3. So let's start off by adding a sword to the database and demonstrate that functionality. Let's add the katana because I don't have any Japanese swords here. Slightly curved. That's a good method. Well, interesting about the katana, it's actually straight, but in the tempering process, the 2 different styles of steel along the spine and along the blade harden at a different rate, causing the spine to bend backwards slightly. So the curve in a true katana is there not because of necessarily how the blade is cast or anything like that. It's or forged. It's the 2 different steels. The spine of the sword being a low carbon steel, and the blade being a high carbon steel. The different carbon contents causes them to harden at a different rate. So that's just a little factoid for you. And we have a successful run, I'm working on getting the program to pull the main menu back after each entry. Currently, that's not really pertinent to demonstrating Hibernate functionality, just kind of a quality of life thing. So let's go ahead and call all of the swords from the database. And as you can see, Hibernate calls this, and then we're printing out all of the entries using that for each loop. And here we have 4 sword objects of sword ID 1245, Gladius Longsword, Kopesh, and our new one, Katana, Sword Culture Japan, slightly curved, everything that we would expect to see. So I do have an understanding of Hibernate. It's just, I had a fun time getting all of this to actually function properly. But all in all, it's not actually that complicated. It just took my brain a little bit longer to wrap around this particular concept more so than others. That being Hibernate negotiating data entry and retrieval from a database. That being said, the interface here, it's fairly nifty. I actually like this interaction here quite a lot. It's a cool utility, and I do plan on using it later in the individual project. I'm thinking of, for that, off topic, building a interface of a database of like comic book characters or something, and the relevant powers, and then implementing a searchable functionality. So search by heroes that have telekinesis or something like that. Perhaps a web application. I am unsure. That's just kind of the minor brainchild in my brain right now. Anyway, feedback would be appreciated on this, as well as the other things which I'm submitting later this week. And yeah, I think that's it for this video.